When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Retro TV, your home for classic television. The greatest shows in history are here for you to enjoy. Join Cosby and Colt as secret agent men in I Spy. Ride along the Ponderosa with the Cartwrights in Bonanza. Hit the beat with Joe Friday in Dragnet. And that's not all. Retro TV offers endless fun and excitement for the whole family to enjoy. Retro TV, the best in classic television.
You can find Retro TV on over-the-air channel 13.4.
Hello, I'm John Walsh. The Justice Network is seen here in Fresno and made possible by the Ventura Broadcasting Company. To see how law enforcement all across Central California are fighting crime, watch Local Choice with Austin Reed, where you'll see interviews and special reports with those who keep us safe every day. Local Choice with Austin Reed, daily on the Justice Network, Fresno, exclusively on KVBC Channel 13.5.
Have you or a loved one recently been arrested for a serious crime?
Is your professional reputation at risk?
Aggressive representation from a qualified defense attorney can help you avoid conviction and keep your reputation untarnished.
Hi, I'm Charles Magill, and I'll fight for your rights. With extensive experience in successfully defending against a wide range of criminal offenses and high-profile cases, you can rest assured that you'll get the fair trial you deserve from Magill, Guzman, Magill. Call us at 559-255-3425 or visit us online at toplawyersfresno.com.
Hi, I'm John Mallis. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. Hey, a very busy morning here on the program because we got kind of a dual program. We'll talk about Iowa politics. Live on the telephone with us will be Dennis Hart. He is still there in Iowa. He'll be there for the next, 2 or 3 weeks. And then in the studio here, Chuck Magill, the defense attorney, talking about the one and only case in Fresno. Not the one and only, but I'll tell you what, it hasn't started yet. It will soon. The one regarding Keith Foster. 436-ME-TV, option 11. We're back with this program in just a moment.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
Glad to have you back on the program here on Connect with Me on a Wednesday morning. And as I said, this is a very busy program today because we're talking politics off the top and then talking Keith Foster the rest of the show. And I should mention right off the bat here that tomorrow a very special guest is going to be in the studio with us. He is going to be Angelo Stalis will be here, a 40-year broadcast veteran at Channel 30. He did the weather for so many years, a very popular figure here in the Central Valley. He, of course, is retired now. He doesn't live too far from me, and so Angelo will be the guest here, the first-time guest. And then on Friday, we'll have Peter Nazaridian. And on Monday's program, you might want to jot this down as a notation. We'll talk about downtown Fresno and the business atmosphere there. Is Fresno business friendly? That's the question. We'll revisit that topic again on Monday. All right, let's talk about what channel you can watch us on each and every Monday through Friday, live on Comcast 375, and then over-the-air broadcast 43.6 and 13.1 if you have an antenna. The replay comes later in the day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6 YouTube, 8 o'clock at night, primetime 4.6 Biz TV. And then, my friends, you can follow me on Twitter at John Mallows, Me TV. And I should mention that this program is sponsored by Chuck Magill. He is a longtime defense attorney here in the city of Fresno. It's Magill, Guzman, Magill. We thank him for his sponsorship. He'll be along in just a few minutes to talk about that Keith Foster case. All right, let's put up the picture of Yogi Berra. The one and only, the legend, passed away last night. Sadly, he was 90 years old. Let me tell you a quick story about Yogi Berra. When I lived and worked in New York, I had the pleasure of sitting next to Yogi Berra at a luncheon. Yes, the entire time. He was so friendly and talkative. I love Yogi Berra. In fact, we were at a downtown hotel, downtown Manhattan. During a break, I ran outside, went to a souvenir store, bought a real baseball, came back in and had Yogi sign it. I'll tell you what, Yogi, 8 rings. He had as many rings as he had fingers. And also that legendary leap into the arms of Don Larson after pitching that perfect game. The Yogi-isms will live on forever. In fact, there are 35 of them listed in the New York Post today. Sad, sad day across America, the passing of Yogi Berra at the age of 90. All right. Brace yourselves, my friends, only 5 months away until the Iowa caucus. That's right. That means that every presidential candidate, from Donald Trump to Hillary Clinton, are passing through that state. Not only passing, they're staying, they're shaking hands, they're eating lunch, they're doing whatever it takes. In February it takes place. That's where voters from more than 1,700 precincts will meet and elect 99 delegates at the state convention. The process is very similar to that on the Democratic side as well as the Republican side. And guess who's there in Iowa to see it all and cover it all? Our own media expert, Dennis Hart. Dennis, good morning. And is it afternoon there yet? I think it is.
Yes, it's just afternoon here. I'm about to have lunch, but I'm going to have a tasty few minutes with you here. And this is, as you say, the political center of the country. It's absolutely fantastic to be here right now because, as you say, every political candidate is coming through this state. The caucuses are February 1st. It is critically important for these folks to get some traction here. And 8 of those Republican candidates were in Des Moines Saturday night, and I believe we have a picture of the Des Moines Register's coverage of that from Sunday morning. These candidates were at the Iowa Faith and Freedom Coalition dinner, very conservative group of Christians down in Des Moines. Donald Trump showed up at that dinner actually waving a Bible around at the podium, strongly proclaiming his belief in Christianity. Bobby Jindal probably got the biggest applause of the night, as that Register headline shows you on the screen, when he said that Trump hasn't read the Bible, he is not in the Bible, and he only reads the books he's in. Everybody just erupted when he said that. Ted Cruz also wowed the crowd by criticizing what he called campaign conservatives who are all talk. As I say, virtually every Republican candidate was at this get-together on Saturday night. Now, not to be slighted, Democratic candidates are all over the state. We have a picture of Bernie Sanders' campaign headquarters that I visited a few days ago in downtown Ames, Iowa, which is where I am, the home of Iowa State University. The Sanders campaign met with Democratic Party leaders in Story County Friday night, 5, 6, 7 of them who are really the movers and shakers in this college town, in this college community. There's no question in my mind the energy and enthusiasm on the Democratic side in Iowa is with Bernie Sanders. He has pulled ahead of Hillary in the latest Des Moines Register poll, which is the big poll around the state. Sanders has all the energy. People are really weary, as I perceive they are in California, with the other major candidate, Hillary Clinton. We have a picture of her campaign sign outside her headquarters, which I visited a couple of days ago. People are almost, they're saying it's this drip, drip, drip of scandal. The email controversy, there's new developments on that this morning from the Washington Post. And it's just a matter, Iowa folks, from my perception of that dinner I had with them on Friday night, the energy is with Bernie. The sense of inevitability is with Hillary, but there's the wild card, Joe Biden. A lot of people here want Joe Biden to jump in, and from what I saw Friday night, talking to those folks I was with, if Biden jumps in, he will peel off a lot of support from both Hillary and from Bernie Sanders. Biden could be a very potent force here in Iowa and across the country if he decides to jump in, John.
Yeah, what about Lindsey Graham? Let's talk about him just a little bit. We have a picture of Lindsey Graham right there. Did you see him? Did you talk to him? Did you talk to any of his supporters?
Absolutely. He was in Ames on Saturday with a campaign rally. I attended. I was in the front row of it, as a matter of fact. It was at my favorite brew pub on Main Street, the Old Main Brewing Company. He had a good crowd there. Lindsey Graham is a caricature in the media. All we know about Lindsey Graham is that he is a South Carolina senator who apparently wants to go to war in the Middle East. He is much more nuanced than that. He is a very smart guy. He spoke off the cuff for 35, 40 minutes. I asked him a question. I was the first questioner when he finished talking. I asked him about Trump and Trump's appeal. He said that he hopes Republicans are at some point going to turn away from what he called a campaign based on demonizing minorities, illegal immigrants on the part of Donald Trump, Muslims on the part of Ben Carson. He made that ridiculous statement about Muslims being president on Sunday on Meet the Press. Graham, very nuanced in terms of his economic policy. He wants to save Social Security. He wants to save Medicare. He wants to court Hispanics and blacks for the Republican Party to try to get their vote. I was very impressed with Lindsey Graham in terms of his knowledge, his quickness. When you compare him with Trump, no comparison. Trump knows nothing about any of these issues. Graham showed great nuance in a lot of them. I also saw yesterday Rick Santorum, the former Pennsylvania senator who appeared at Iowa State University, where I used to teach. He had about 75 people in the audience, again, spoke very, very knowledgeably about a variety of issues. Now, his foreign policy was much more, if you will, warlike than Lindsey Graham. Santorum spoke about the need to be very tough on Islamic terrorism. He said, without a doubt, he would tear up the Iran agreement that President Obama has negotiated. Not even Donald Trump has said he would do that because the agreement is the agreement, and the United States, whether it abides by it or not, other countries will. But he also spoke about the need to reestablish the family in the United States. I'm talking Rick Santorum now, yesterday at Iowa State. He said that we have dysfunctional family values in this country, and he pointed out, as you and I have talked on your show many times, how a significant number, 75% of black children born in this country are born without wedlock. They're born illegitimate. More than half of Hispanic children born in this country are out of wedlock, and a significant number of Caucasian children are born. He said that's destroying the country, destroying our family values. It needs to stop. So those are the folks I've seen. Now, Hillary Clinton yesterday came to Iowa, spent time in Des Moines, where she announced she is opposed to the Keystone Oil Pipeline. She made that announcement in Des Moines. Sanders is coming here this weekend. Martin O'Malley is coming in. He has no traction here in Iowa whatsoever, the former Maryland governor. Yep. But it's a very interesting time. The newspapers are full of political news, leads the television newscasts. It's exciting to be here, John.
Hey, Dennis, one thing real quick. We're running short on time. In 30 seconds, tell me what you think, because in the Republican race, you've got two business people on top. Donald Trump, who wrote the book, by the way, The Art of the Deal. Remember that? Carly Fiorina, another business person. They're both at the top of the list. Ben Carson, a former surgeon, is running in third. All these other people that you talked about, Lindsey Graham, Rick Santorum, all these people, they have no shot. No shot.
Right. The Republican Party right now is in a throw out the bums mood. They're in a very angry mood. The fact that you have these three candidates, Trump, Ben Carson, Carly Fiorina, none of whom ever been elected to public office, it seems as if a majority of Republican voters at this moment are saying, we do not value experience. It's as if they're saying we want to turn the White House into a training ground. And this is frightening for the country. But let me also say this, a new poll coming out today, the Pew Institute, showing only 27% of all Americans are even focusing on the race right now. That means that 73% of all people out there have no idea what's been going on politically. They have not weighed in yet. There's still plenty of time to go before the February 1st Iowa caucuses, so a lot of things can change. We know how Scott Walker has been blown out. We know Rick Perry's been blown out. By the way, Santorum says he's not going to drop out of the race, which Walker said a lot of conservatives should do so that they can focus on the one or two conservatives who might have a shot at beating Trump. Okay. My guess right now from this vantage point in Ames, Iowa, is that the two candidates who have the shot at overtaking Trump are Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio. We'll see how that plays out.
All right, Dennis Hart, I thank you very much. We're out of time, but we're going to talk to you next week here on the telephone. You'll be in Iowa then, and we'll see what you have to say and report on at that time. I appreciate it, Dennis.
I'll be there for you, John. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, Dennis Hart, our media expert here on Connect with Me, reporting live on the telephone from Iowa. The caucus there, only about 5 months away. It'll take place on February the 1st. We're back with our program. Today's program sponsored by Chuck Magill, Guzman Magill. That is the defense attorney here in the city of Fresno. We'll be back with him in just a moment.
Take a look at this. Let's play.
This is too hip for you. I'll slow down.
Let's play.
Watch all your favorite classic game shows on Buzzer TV, KVBC Digital Channel 13.7.
Have you or a loved one recently been arrested for a serious crime?
Is your professional reputation at risk?
Aggressive representation from a qualified defense attorney can help you avoid conviction and keep your reputation untarnished.
Hi, I'm Charles McGill, and I'll fight for your rights. With extensive experience in successfully defending against a wide range of criminal offenses and high-profile cases, you can rest assured that you'll get the fair trial you deserve from McGill, Guzman, McGill. Call us at 559-255-3425 or visit us online at toplawyersfresno.com.
The new Frigidaire Professional line at Ventura TV Video Appliance. Enjoy generous-sized cooktops and sauté or simmer with ease, while true convection ovens offer even baking and juicy roasting perfection. Foods stay their freshest in spacious refrigerators with convenient controls and clear filtered ice and water. Easy to clean surfaces reduce fingerprints, and the quietest of dishwashers makes cleanup a snap. The new Frigidaire Professional line at Ventura TV Video Appliance.
Hello, I'm John Walsh. The Justice Network is seen here in Fresno and made possible by the Ventura Broadcasting Company. To see how law enforcement all across Central California are fighting crime, watch Local Choice with Austin Reed, where you'll see interviews and special reports with those who keep us safe every day. Local Choice with Austin Reed, daily on the Justice Network, Fresno, exclusively on KVBC Channel 13.5.
Welcome back to the program here. Connect with me on MeTV Fresno. Our thanks again to Dennis Hart, and thanks again to our sponsor, Chuck Magill, the defense attorney here in the city of Fresno. And still kind of reeling with the news this morning about the passing of Yogi Berra, 90 years old. Here's a Yogi-ism. If I'd have known I was going to live this long or get this old, I wouldn't have lived this long. That's a Yogi-ism. That's not too bad. Okay, there are 35 of them listed in the New York Post today if you want to go online and check that out. If I knew I was going to get this old, I wouldn't have lived this long. Yogi Berra, the legendary catcher for the New York Yankees. 8 rings, and he caught that perfect game in the World Series. Of course, thrown by Don Larson, the year I was born. All right, now to our main topic today here. For the next 45 minutes, we'll be talking about former Deputy Police Chief Keith Foster. And the question is, will he cop a plea deal? If, in fact, he does, who will he rat out, my friends? That's the question. I want to put up the picture of Police Chief Jerry Dyer, my friends. You all know him. Could it be Police Chief Jerry Dyer? I don't know. And the feds did not charge Jerry Dyer, as you know. In any case, some have asked the question, how could the chief have not known? The two have been friends on the force for years, and Foster was Dyer's right-hand man and his right-hand confidant. Foster, who is 51 years old, was charged by the feds with conspiracy to deal heroin and marijuana with 5 others, including his nephew, Aaron Dennis Foster. A grand jury indictment also mentions 4 separate dates when Keith Foster allegedly distributed oxycodone through his other nephew, Randy Flowers. Foster pleaded not guilty in federal court on April the 10th. However, a trial is likely to be delayed. Live in our studio right now is defense attorney Chuck Magill, who is here to analyze this case and talk about a possible Foster plea deal. We don't know if he's going to cop a plea deal. We don't know anything yet. We don't actually know what's going to happen in this case. But the trial, we know, is coming up soon in federal court. We'll see what happens there. So we encourage you to call in Ask Chuck Magill, who's got more than 25 years of experience in the courtroom as a defense attorney. So if anybody knows how this thing could go one way or the other, it certainly would be Chuck. We're back with your phone calls and our guy, Chuck Magill, in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the KitchenAid appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Save big with KitchenAid. Right now, get up to a $1,000 prepaid MasterCard when you purchase select KitchenAid appliances. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
After God created the world, He made man and woman. Then, to keep the whole thing from collapsing, He invented humor.
Sub, a perfect reason to rejoice. A distinctly positioned channel in the crowded Hindi general entertainment channel space. It is India's only family comedy entertainment channel with a core brand promise of असली मजा सबके साथ आता है.
देख रहा हूँ.
Which means celebrate the joy of being together. Taking humor as a universal language, the shows on Sub are light-hearted and make up for an enjoyable family viewing experience. Indeed.
असली मजाक सबके साथ आता है.
अब तो सबको पता है यार.
Zob TV is now on digital channel 31.8.
Back here on the program with our guy Chuck Magill and talking about the Keith Foster case. And before we get into Keith Foster, do you have any yogi-isms for us there, Chuck?
I don't think you can beat the last one. If I'd known I'd lived this long, I would have not lived this long. That's a pretty big one.
That's typical Yogi Berra. Anyway, time to, it's really a time to celebrate his life. 90 years old. He did pretty well. Any one of us that can live 90, we're doing okay. But anyway, hey, we do have a phone call. I'm going to ask the caller to just hang on a second. I know you're not close to this case, but as an outside observer and with a man of your experience in the courtroom, my friend, what do you see in this? Do you see a plea deal at all? Is that a possibility?
Well, I would expect, particularly in the federal courts, about the only way you can shave any time off of an offer is to have some kind of negotiated plea where you're giving somebody up. And if it's possible for Foster to give up anybody higher up the food chain, I'm sure that they would want to do that because it would benefit him.
Yeah, and higher up the food chain means Jerry Dyer.
Well,
you don't get higher than that.
From the deputy chief, I believe the only place higher than the deputy would be the chief himself.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's anything that indicates that from what I've read, and I've read the warrant, I've read the materials that have been released by the federal court on this, and there's nothing in there that indicates that Dyer had any knowledge of what Foster was doing. Although they had worked together for years, the way Foster was selling his oxycodone, it doesn't seem as though there was any kind of conspiracy with the higher-ups to do so. So there's nothing, from what I've read so far, there's nothing to indicate that Dyer would have had any knowledge of what Foster was up to.
Yeah. Caller, are you still there? Thanks for being patient.
Yeah, yes, sir. Without getting off subject of this Foster deal, my question is, how does he feel as a defense attorney? And he's had probably maybe clients that have gone through this, but with this whole Fresno State thing, I mean, yeah, young kids were out there drinking, but when the chief was out there on TV, he was Mr. This, Mr. That, made an innocent mistake. He played it down really, really nice. And, I mean, I know of other people, friends of mine, I mean, caught in the same situations, and they get nailed to the wall. How does he... I mean, I know it's the thing about Foster, but how do you think this whole Fresno State thing's going to play out? Are they going to...
That's a great question.
I mean, they look like they're walking them through it like it was all an innocent mistake by some 20-year-old who shouldn't have been drinking, and then the other guy shouldn't have got next to the police car. He should have listened, Mr. This, Mr. That. I've been there, and I've seen actually what really... I mean, I'm from Reedley, but Reedley PD doesn't... There's no misters there, and you get nailed to the wall, and you go to jail. That's my question. I mean, is there a double standard there?
Caller, let me ask you a question before I get to Chuck. Do you think that the two players at Fresno State received special treatment? Caller? I think he hung up.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
I would have to say that caller makes a really good point. And
Yeah.
that is that yes, that wasn't treated the same way. Now, one of the things that I've
Special treatment by the
one of the things that I've seen is that this chief is suffering from the loss of credibility in the department because of his deputy chief being arrested for dealing narcotics, and another lieutenant being busted for doing prostitution, being a pimp, basically. I think that he's working hard to try to change the focus from how corrupt his department is, and you can see how he's responding. Like the kid that was from San Joaquin Memorial that was arrested
15-year-old.
for making
Plotting against
something.
San Joaquin
Well,
Memorial.
The chief never said that what they discovered was a report that was, from what I understand, the kid had written the lyrics from an Eminem song in June. Not moments before he was arrested or days before he was arrested, but something he'd posted on Instagram in June.
Yeah, like a month or two before.
Yeah, while school was out of session.
Yeah.
But they jumped on that, and they said, the chief made it look like he was saving the lives of all these kids at San Joaquin Memorial from this kid that was threatened to shoot up the school. And I submit that it's the same thing now with those Fresno State football players, and that is he's trying to divert attention from the fact that we need to be looking at what's going on at Fresno Police Department, because when you've got people in the positions of authority like they do, you got to wonder what's going on in the ethics of that department.
Why didn't they throw the book at these two kids at Fresno State, the quarterback?
Well, I don't know. I agree with the caller that they're being treated differently, but
why? Just because they're athletes over at Fresno State?
Certainly. I mean, the reality is one of the kids that was popped, my understanding was next in line to be the quarterback.
Yeah, he's a backup quarterback, and the night before he threw like 3 touchdown passes.
And the quarterback broke his collarbone,
Yeah.
the lead guy, so he was next in line. So that's a big loss for Fresno State if that keeps him from being able to play. So but don't misunderstand me. I do think that they dealt with it differently because of the position that those kids are in politically, because they're Fresno State students, and they're students with high regard and respect. From what I understand, they had no criminal history, so they shouldn't really demonize them for that type of conduct. Yeah. They shouldn't treat, and the only reason why the media was interested in them, unlike the caller's friends in Reedley, is because their celebrity status by being Fresno State athletes. So yes, they're going to be treated differently because of who they are, and they certainly were treated differently. But I have to agree with the way that the chief dealt with that by saying, by claiming that, look, this conduct wasn't that bad.
Yeah, we are talking about Fresno State quarterback, and he's the backup, Zach Greenlee, who was arrested and released from jail hours later, as was Bulldogs linebacker Brandon Hughes. And it was announced yesterday that Greenlee is not going to be charged. Not sure about Hughes. I don't think Hughes is going to be charged either. And, of course, Chasen Virgil is the starting quarterback for Fresno State. He was hurt. He's out for the season. He got hurt in that game on Saturday night.
Right.
And so, Coach Tim DeRuiter says, we're going to have an internal investigation, and there could be disciplinary action within the system, within the school, the team. But you know what? Had that been me, had that been you, drunk and disorderly conduct, they would have thrown the book at you and at me, especially you and me.
Oh, I don't know about that, John.
We're in the public eye. They would have made an example of us, right?
The reality of it is the only reason why the public would have any interest in either one of us being arrested for drunk and disorderly
name recognition
is because of our name recognition. And the reality of it is, do those students deserve to be demonized because of the positions that they have? I mean, he's an athlete in Fresno State. He's a quarterback. He's spending a lot of time of his own free time, I'm sure, pursuing that athletic event. So does he deserve to be demonized? Because did anybody not drink while they were in college? I mean,
no, but when
Jeb
your
Bush
son,
smoked pot, so I mean, I suspect that everybody's had a beer or two while they're in college.
Okay, you have kids. When your son looks at that and hears about that on the news, and say, "Oh, well, hey, look, so I can go out and drink and be disorderly, and maybe punch an officer or do whatever I want to do, and maybe not pay the consequences." That's the message that I'm sending to your son.
Okay, now I've got I have 4 in college right now. 3 of my children graduate
I'm
in
not
June.
paying the bills.
So I know, that's why I'm on television trying to pimp my business. But the reality of it is, they're all they knew my one son went to school with one of the kids that was arrested, and he says she's a nice lady, she's a nice girl.
Well, what message are we sending here? Okay, they break the law, and so they no charges, they get away with it.
Let's just see. I mean, let's not forget the circumstances. The reality was this is a frat party after the football game, and so they definitely were being focused on by law enforcement because of what was going on. So, and my understanding is the way the kid got involved, or law enforcement got involved, is because he had a beer in his hand and he was and they saw him and questioned him and he was underage. I don't see that kind of conduct as being something that should impact his high school career or his football career, and I don't think it's something that he should be demonized for, because the reality.
But if it was your son, what would you tell him if that was him caught in that situation? You'd be
well,
upset.
I would be upset if my son was the one that didn't answer to law enforcement and got himself caught up in it that way. And if it was my son that was drinking, yeah, I'd be upset with him. But I don't believe he should be subject to being demonized in his community.
Yeah.
And I don't believe he should be subject to being held out and his name read over and over again by the press because of making a stupid decision while he was in college.
Right. He's only 20, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're not expecting 20-year-olds to be functioning under full mature
capacity.
Decisions.
Well,
that's the reason why that's the reason why you can't be responsible till you're 21.
Yeah, well, I'm well past that 21, and I'm still not too responsible sometimes.
Well,
and neither are you.
It takes the male brain longer to solidify. That's what they say. 25 is before you're solidified.
That's right. And our brain, your brain and my brain, we don't. It doesn't fully develop until we're what, 75?
I don't know if it'll ever fully develop or not.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, I was curious. It seems like in most communities, the DA is the one who goes and makes the charges up and points the fingers and builds up the public opinion. It's not the police chief. The police chief or the sheriff tells how they catch that individual, how they arrest them, what they found on them, but that's it. Now, why is it different in this case, unless he's trying to be a media whore? That's my question.
That's a good question, and I would respond. You're right. The reality of investigations falls to law enforcement, and that's what was going on here. The fact that the chief is commenting on a law enforcement investigation. One could say he's being a media whore. One can say he's trying to distract us from other issues that the department's dealing with.
I want to talk about
but
some of those issues.
It's not. It is appropriate for law enforcement to do the investigation. As far as prosecution is concerned, then it falls to the district attorney's office to make that determination, and they have to decide whether or not the evidence supports a charge and whether they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that charge. Now that's a lot different. And you're not going to see the district attorney typically responding about what they're filing and what they're not filing, because it would be inappropriate for her to do so.
Yeah, it may taint the case. You never
it
know.
Certainly may.
Caller, did that answer your question there?
Yes, it did. It still shows, I guess it shows me that Chief Dyer is in a little bit of trouble and trying to go and deflect the concerns over his job and things away from him back on to, look what I'm doing to the prisoners, or look what I'm doing to the criminals. I'm catching these criminals. And that doesn't seem like it's appropriate.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with you that I think it's unusual for a chief of police to respond to an arrest of athletes for drunk in public.
Why did he do it then? Why did he do it? Does he love the camera?
Well, I have my opinion.
The publicity? Well, that's why you're here. You're the expert.
I think right now that he has a bad case of trying to cover my tail. I was going to say another word that's just shorter letters than tail, because of the fact that he's had some law enforcement officers busted for some serious dishonest crimes. I mean, the reality is having the deputy chief busted for dealing drugs. Oh my God! I mean, this is a community of 500,000. That's something that would have an impact nationally if it wasn't for the fact that he's not catching that kind of grief. But he should be. And he's definitely going to have to spend as much time as he can in front of the camera trying to present a reputation that they are involved and they're doing important stuff for our community, because I suspect that we're all thinking about what's going on.
Yeah, we got to take a break here. Just ignore him. These two are kind of annoying sometimes. Just ignore him. We got to take a break here. Chuck Magill is our guest here on the program today. Longtime defense attorney, is also a sponsor of this program, Magill, Guzman, Magill. And we're going to talk, of course, about his wife, Laura Guzman Magill, who passed away not all that long ago of breast cancer. We'll talk about an event. We'll talk about Jerry Dyer, Keith Foster on the other side of the break, and also maybe a little bit more about Fresno State. 436-MeTV, option 11. We're back after this timeout.
Me? You got me?
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
Sure sounds good.
With a lineup of classic television shows you remember.
I remember years later.
And shows you can discover for the very first time.
What a good stuff. Here he is. To me?
You can watch MeTV Fresno on Xfinity 375 starting August 25th.
Are you gonna watch me or ain't you?
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come into Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Have you or a loved one recently been arrested for a serious crime? Is your professional reputation at risk? Aggressive representation from a qualified defense attorney can help you avoid conviction and keep your reputation untarnished. Hi, I'm Charles Magill, and I'll fight for your rights. With extensive experience in successfully defending against a wide range of criminal offenses and high-profile cases, you can rest assured that you'll get the fair trial you deserve from Magill, Guzman, Magill. Call us at 559-255-3425 or visit us online at toplawyersfresno.com.
We're back here on the program on a Wednesday morning talking to Chuck Magill. A phone call coming in. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes. My question is, do you think that since 9/11, I mean, because prior to 9/11, I mean, police officers and fire department, I mean, they really weren't, they were talked about, but they really weren't, you know what I mean, in the media as much. Since 9/11, I mean, I have friends that are police officers, and prior to that, they were pretty cool, but ever since then, I mean, their pay went up, their recognition went up, respect went up, and now the same friends that I have, I mean, they're in debt up the butt. I mean, excuse my English, but yeah, I mean, it just spiraled out of control. I think the whole problem is that they think that they have their elitism, and then they get themselves into trouble, and now they're trying to pull themselves out of it, and they get subject to the only way to make fast money is the only way they see these criminals making money, and they figure, well, you know what, I'm a cop, nobody's going to question me, you know, I can do what I want now because of 9/11, you know, and every time it's 9/11 and everybody loves a cop, everybody loves a fireman, but you know, I just wonder about that, you know, I mean, and Mr. Foster, you know, the prior Chief Deputy Foster, what could possibly be his defense as to doing what he did? That's my question.
That's
Thank you.
kind of a two-part question.
Very good questions.
The image of police officers since 9/11, and what could his defense be?
Now, let me take the image issue first and carry that one through a little bit. Now, I agree with the caller that since 9/11, we have a whole different view of our law enforcement, of our fire department. I've tried cases where I've represented firemen, and they're golden. It doesn't really matter what they're accused of because of the fact that if I can march them in uniform, everybody goes, "Oh my God, a fireman! He went to save our lives in the building." So yes, we've really kind of made them deities, you know, like they're godlike now, the firemen and police officers. And the reality of it is we're starting to see that they've got clay feet. And the videotapes that we're seeing of police officers abusing people and the whole things that are coming out in the shootings, that kind of stuff is starting to make our deities have become human again. And I think that's what we're kind of dealing with this issue. Now, what is the defense for Foster? I mean, the reality...
Keith Foster photo. I think we got a Keith Foster photo here. Yeah, go ahead.
What's his defense? I mean, the reality of it is that from what I've read, they have him going to his pharmacy and picking up his prescription for oxycodone, and they have him going to his nephews or one of the people that were indicted and giving them his prescription so they can sell it.
Apparently, two of his nephews were involved, from what I read.
Right. I mean, it seems as though it was kind of a family-related thing. They were close friends and family members that he was dealing with, and the reality of it.
Look at that graphic there. I mean, he really climbed up the ladder through the years from 1986 on. I mean, he became commander and then obviously deputy police chief there in the early 2000s.
Yeah, but look at the middle. Narcotics detective, narcotics supervisor.
Yeah. Is that a tip-off? Is that a tip-off?
You know, obviously he was dealing with that community, and he could see the money that was available to be made. You know, my understanding is he went through a pretty dirty divorce, and being the deputy chief, being the deputy chief, everything he's making is on the books, and so his ex-wife is going to get half of it. So his income goes from $130,000 estimated down to $50,000. You got to cover it somehow, and so he knew the easy way to do it was to sell oxycodone.
He's making $175,000 a year.
I know. Well,
it's not bad.
Yeah, but it had to be split. If it's a divorce in California, you know, you're talking about 50-50, and I don't know how much she was making, but I'll bet she was making a lot after she divorced him.
Yeah, and apparently, you know, and I had Chief Dyer here earlier this year talking about the Foster case. In fact, let's roll the videotape. Dyer number one, press conference number one. Chief Dyer, no sound on this videotape. There he is there. And, you know, I got to tell you something. Here is my perception without being a defense attorney. And that is, okay, the feds didn't take him down. Obviously didn't have enough evidence or didn't have any evidence, but could the prosecutors be looking at this and saying, you know, we didn't get anything on the chief of police. However, maybe Foster can give us something.
Like I said, the only thing Foster has to deal is his personal knowledge of the backgrounds of the people that are surrounding him. So if he had something to give up on the chief, that's the only thing he would have to try to negotiate time. And in the federal court, the time that your exposure to is, they talk in months like it's in days, and so they'll say it's like 35 months or 120 months. You know, we're talking 12 years, 120 months, but when they talk in, you know, like it's in days, you don't realize just how high the exposure is. So yeah, the only thing that, if Foster had anything to give up on the chief and he could get away with it, I'm sure he would. If
you were Jerry Dyer right now, would you be concerned that he might give something up?
If I was Jerry Dyer right now, I would be doing what Jerry Dyer is doing, and I would be holding a lot of press conferences talking about all the different times that we've done something to protect our community. I would be holding press conferences and to allay the concerns of groups in the community. Like, let's not forget how popular Fresno State athletics is here in Fresno. A smart decision by the chief would be to come on and say, well, these young men really didn't do anything bad. They were out at a party and had a little too much to drink. It's just an error of judgment. He certainly doesn't want to come up and talk like the caller did and say, we need to hammer these kids for drinking in public. You know, he's got to do the best he can to sell his position.
That's a photo of Jerry Dyer right there, the police chief of Fresno, coming out of federal court.
That was after Foster was indicted, yeah.
Yeah, that was after Chief Foster, Deputy Chief Foster was indicted. You were there. He's got his staff behind him, of course, right now.
City manager on the right-hand side of him.
Bruce Rudd. Yeah,
sure.
That's Bruce Rudd.
And that's his other deputy chief behind him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But the question is, okay, how is it relevant that Jerry Dyer's holding all these news conferences on police shootings, on the misfortunes of Fresno State athletes? How is that going to help him if federal prosecutors say, you know what, I talked to Keith Foster yesterday, and this is what he told me that Jerry Dyer knew? How is that going to help him?
Well, it's going to help him a lot. Every time you're hitting the camera, he's presenting an image.
How's that going to help him, though, if he's implicated in the case?
Even if he's implicated, at some point, if he has to go to trial, he's going to want to have the best face on forward that he can. And so the reality is to make himself more available to the press and to hold press conferences like this is getting his face out there and across the camera to the public. And that's important for his credibility. Assuming that he ever was involved, or assuming that he was ever implicated by Foster, he's definitely going to want to have a good rep.
Yeah, it's
and a
amazing.
Good front.
It's amazing. Hey, I got to take a break here. We're talking with Chuck Magill, longtime defense attorney, talking about the Keith Foster case. If you want to weigh in, you can at 436-MeTV option 11. We can also talk about Zach Greenlee if you want to, the backup quarterback at Fresno State that got in trouble over the weekend with drinking. And we're going to come back after this message from Magill, Guzman, Magill.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Have you or a loved one recently been arrested for a serious crime? Is your professional reputation at risk? Aggressive representation from a qualified defense attorney can help you avoid conviction and keep your reputation untarnished. Hi, I'm Charles Magill, and I'll fight for your rights. With extensive experience in successfully defending against a wide range of criminal offenses and high-profile cases, you can rest assured that you'll get the fair trial you deserve from Magill, Guzman, Magill. Call us at 559-255-3425 or visit us online at toplawyersfresno.com.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Frigidaire Gallery appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an Energy Star qualified French door Frigidaire Gallery refrigerator. Quality appliances for the way you live. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise.
Back on the program and a phone call coming in for Chuck Magill. Good morning, caller. You're on the air, and what's your question? Good. Good morning. Hey, hang on, caller. Good morning. Yes, hello. Are you there? Go ahead. Caller?
Yes?
Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, well, over here, I can't hear you that well, but I can barely hear you. But I want to ask a question to Chuck. Now, Dyer, even if he's making all these, cameras, or meetings and what happened and whatnot about his second in command, he can make a deal by saying that the chief knew about it, but that's only because he's implicating that he knew, but he has no proof. As well as anybody, Chuck, that once he says something like that about the chief, his career is over. Whether he's innocent or not, he'll have to go to court and whatnot. The people are going to doubt him. How did he not know what was going with the second in command? But that's everywhere, maybe he has a grudge against him or something, or a family member told him, hey, you want to make a deal? Just say that the chief knew about it and he wanted to sweep it under the rug and whatnot. So I just don't see the chief knowing. In my feeling, that he didn't know what was going on. But things have been worse. Like the football players. But that's a different story. I don't think the chief knew about it. He did it on his own, and he had family members, whatever. So,
okay.
What do you think?
All right, thank you.
Thanks for the question, caller. And I agree with you that the reality of it is, if he was to be implicated in this by the deputy chief, that would end his career as a chief of police. Just the implication alone, whether there was any credibility to it or not. The question that John asked me was whether or not there was some way that Foster could implicate the chief, and I submit that if Foster knows anything that would be of a criminal act that the chief was involved in, he's going to roll over on him because that's all he can do.
Why should prosecutors
That's
believe
all he can do to try to buy himself some more time. And why would prosecutors believe him? Because they're motivated to get rid of corruption if they see it.
Yeah, but what gives him credibility? Foster. Why should they believe him? He has no. Does he have credibility?
He was the deputy chief of police for crying
But he
out
got
loud.
busted for drugs.
Exactly. And so he's the deputy chief. If he was to roll over on the chief and say the chief was somehow implicated or involved, they're going to want to look into that because he's a high positioned player in law enforcement. So if he's the root of evil, they want to pull it out.
And they'll have to determine, I guess, on the spot whether or not he has credibility in what he's saying.
And what he says is whether what he says can be backed up by evidence. I mean, I agree with the caller, and there's nothing to show that the chief has any knowledge of what Foster was doing. There's nothing to indicate that he would have any way of knowing that he was dealing. But that doesn't mean that Foster couldn't roll over on him if he had anything.
Yeah, he might. We'll see what happens. Caller, are you there? Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to ask Mr. McGill, what is our best way of dealing with law enforcement when we are dealing with them? Is it, I've tried yes, sir, no, ma'am, and that sometimes doesn't work. Then I've tried, all right, then let me see your badge number, and that really sets them off.
Right.
Am I better off just keeping my head low and my mouth shut?
You know, I think we're in a different time now than we have been in the past, and that is you've got your phone there, it's a camera, it's a recorder. You can get an app that allows you to remotely send off the camera and recorder, and I think the way you deal with law enforcement from now on in the future is you pull out your phone and say, I'm recording everything you're saying, officer. How can I help you? And what do I need to do to respond to your requests?
Okay. Good advice coming from Chuck McGill. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am. We're live here, right?
Yeah, just watch it now.
Okay, I wanted to get back into the thing with Officer Foster, but first I wanted to put this by the attorney advisor's route real quick. I would like to go see an NFL game, and I would be from Fresno. And the alcohol, like through Fresno State, all these pro games, is a problem. People are going to the hospitals that get attacked. I would like to see you take on something to get the alcohol out of those games so it'd be family safe to go see. Other than that, I'm going to stay home and watch the games on TV. But the thing with Mr. Foster there, it's just, my heart kind of goes out to everybody here in the Valley because we have to deal with all this fallout, and there's something that is turning these officers into basically bad officers. They might have started out as decent people, but something is turning them out, and I guess the level of corruption is huge with this police department, and it's not fair to us, the taxpayers, and I think it's more than just the police. I think it's the city manager, the mayor. They just don't have anybody to watchdog over them. And us as citizens, why can't we watch over this too and have some kind of say? Okay. That's what I'd like to say, and I'm really interested what you're going to say on both those points, but do address the NFL.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We saw what happened with the 49ers and the Vikings a couple of weeks ago. We had some outbursts, of course, in the stands.
I mean, but it's not just the NFL; it's all sports. I mean, we had the beating of the San Francisco fan by the Dodger fans.
That was a couple of years ago down at Dodger Stadium.
That young man is still crippled by the injuries he suffered. It's kind of a tough caller, to say, is alcohol the cause, or is it the people that are going there and drinking before the game or tailgating before the game or after the game? I mean, it's really hard to say that you can't put your finger on their service of alcohol as being the problem. There are many college teams that don't have alcohol served at their football games, and I don't know if there's ever been a statistical run of whether or not that makes it safer.
They serve beer at Fresno State, I guess, huh?
I believe so, but there's a number of programs that don't have any alcohol in their program, and I don't know if that makes it any safer.
Yeah. What was the second part of his question?
Second part was
I forgot.
Dealing with the chief and
hang on, caller.
Those issues.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Caller, you're on the air. Short on time, though. Go ahead.
Good morning, John. John, I have a personal question for your lawyer there. Is it illegal or illegal to own double-edged knives in California?
personal question for the lawyer. You mean you're asking me a legal question on a legal device? Depending on the size of the blade, a double-edged blade, if it could be seen as a dirk or a dagger, that possession of that weapon as a dirk or dagger would be a felony. My understanding is,
Really?
from my recollection of reading the laws, the blade is longer than 3 inches. It's presumed to be a dirk or a dagger.
And that's a felony.
And that's a felony to have a blade that has sharpened on both sides.
All right. I know we want to get to the issue that you want to talk about, but I briefly want to ask you about the image of the Fresno Police Department of what Jerry Dyer is trying to improve upon.
Yeah.
Okay, expand on that a little bit. They have an image problem because of what?
Well,
Obviously because of Keith Foster. That's one.
Well, it's not just Keith Foster.
Well, okay,
There's
give me
been
some
some other
other
arrests.
examples.
I mean, recall the officer that was arrested for pimping out his girlfriend. I mean, that's pretty damning. I think that came not far after the Foster arrest. And the reality is those kinds of things that are dealing with the morality of the individual officers reflect on the department. So he's got to do some credibility rebuilding, I think.
Can he rebuild it? Is it repairable?
Well, obviously he's very Obviously he's very well backed by the city, and so the city's going to give him time to do it, because you saw in that video you had the city manager standing behind him when Keith Foster was arrested for dealing. So that was a physical statement of saying that the city manager is supporting the chief. And so it doesn't seem as though this is affecting Dyer's position as chief.
Yeah.
He seems to be rather Teflon
But
coated.
the image out there in the public, we'll see if that's repairable, I guess, over the course of time. Caller, are you there? Oh, he was there. Oops. Okay, you can call back, 436-ME-TV, option 11. Let's talk about something a little bit different, change of pace. And Laura Guzman Magill, your wife, who recently, not that long ago, passed away of breast cancer. And, again, our condolences to you and your family. It's been a rough road for you, Chuck. I know that. And you want to talk about an event that's coming up that will benefit breast cancer survivors.
Certainly. The Fresno County Women Lawyers this year are doing a team for the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer for the American Cancer Society walk, which is on Sunday, October 4th. They're doing it in memory of my wife, Laura Guzman Magill. I'd love to see people come out and support the cause of raising awareness of breast cancer awareness, as well as supporting the American Cancer Society. Now, the way that my wife dealt with her cancer, she used a lot of alternative treatments, and that not the mainstream approach. I think it gave her a longer and more healthy life while she dealt with her breast cancer. But we would like to see that people come out and support the Fresno County Women Lawyers doing a walk for breast cancer awareness on October 4th. Thank you, John, for letting me speak about that.
October the 4th. Now, what time does that start, Chuck, and where again?
It is at, let's see, it's at the, I don't have the address, but I know that it's the American Cancer Society's walk against Making Strides Against Breast Cancer.
It's in the morning?
It's in the morning. The walk starts the registration's at 7. The walk starts at 8. It's at Woodward Park.
Woodward Park. So 8 o'clock in the morning.
Or 7 o'clock in the morning.
7 o'clock in the morning. October the what?
On October 4th, which is just a couple weeks away.
Yeah.
At Woodward Park at 7 in the morning.
7 in the morning, and it's for breast cancer.
It's
funds,
for the raising funds for raising funds and awareness of breast cancer for the American Cancer Society. So we'd love to see you come out and support what I think is a very good cause, and I'm very honored that my wife is being honored by their walking in her memory.
Well, we're honored that we had a chance to know her and meet her and talk to her. And we're honored that you're here today, Chuck.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me. This is fun. You had a lot of calls today.
Yeah, quite a few calls. All right, Chuck Magill, and come back soon, okay?
I will.
All right, that's Chuck Magill, longtime defense attorney here in Fresno. Our program today was sponsored by Magill Guzman Magill. Tomorrow, we've got the legendary broadcaster, 40 years in the making over at Channel 30, the former weatherman there, now retired, Angelo Stalis will be here to take your calls for the full hour. See you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Yeah, I guess it.
I was going to say, I'm
another
bring
call.
Next time too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, bring donuts. Hang on, we're still on camera.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance.